AI authorship detectors currently claim near-perfect accuracy in identifying machine-generated text. Yet, when tested against a specific class of hardware exploits, those same systems fail 99.8% of the time. These detectors have moved beyond the text itself. Vendors are now marketing process-level detection, software that monitors the physical, behavioral signals generated while a person is actually typing. The underlying assumption is that the rhythm of a human hand on a keyboard provides a unique biological signature that proves human authorship. But that signature is easily forged by a $2 AT85 microcontroller. Using the same form factor as a USB rubber ducky, these devices can mimic the precise timing of a human typist. The problem is one of conflation. These systems treat motor presence, the fact that a physical body is triggering keys, as proof of content provenance, or the cognitive origin of the ideas. By deconstructing the hardware mechanics of keystroke injection and the statistical distributions of human typing, we can see exactly where this biometric model reaches its limit. When typing speed is used as the primary evidence for human thought, it creates a loophole that software alone cannot close. To understand the exploit, we have to look at how computers handle input. Operating systems are designed to trust human interface devices, or HIDs. If a device identifies as a keyboard, the system accepts its data as legitimate user input without further verification. The hardware lacks a way to check if a biological finger is actually pressing a key. If you plug in a microchip that claims to be a keyboard, the data pathway remains wide open. Cheap microcontrollers use a protocol called BadUSB to exploit this. By bridging specific pins, the chip simulates a USB handshake in software, bypassing the need for dedicated hardware converters and appearing to the computer as a standard peripheral. Pen testers use DuckyScript to control these chips. It's a simple language that translates text strings into raw HID signals, effectively typing commands into the machine. These scripts can open a terminal and inject payloads directly into system memory. Because the commands are typed, they don't require the attacker to save files to the disk, which avoids many standard antivirus scans. These devices can type at over 1,000 words per minute, a speed that makes it obvious to any monitor that the input is automated. This creates a situation where any software relying on the trust of the hardware layer is vulnerable to automation from the moment the device is plugged in. To counter this, AI detectors analyze the rhythm of the incoming text. They aren't looking at the words, they're looking for the mechanical consistency of a script. This plot shows the coefficient of variation of inter-keystroke intervals, or delta. It measures the timing between each key press. Bots typically produce a flat, uniform line, while humans produce a jagged, irregular pattern. Because most scripts fire at a constant rate, their timing intervals are clustered tightly on the low end of the scale. Human composition is much more variable. We pause to read, we hesitate to think, and we burst into rapid strings of familiar characters. This creates a wide distribution across the time axis. Researchers found that a delta of 0.269 serves as a near-perfect separator. Anything below it is flagged as an automated bot. Anything above it is accepted as human. In a controlled environment, this classifier appears flawless, achieving a perfect 1.00 score for distinguishing simple bot injections from human typing. However, this model assumes a binary choice. Either the text is injected by a simple script, or it is composed by a human. It does not account for an adversary who can mimic human noise. The best bypass is the simplest, the copy-type attack. Instead of injecting via script, a human reads an LLM draft and types it by hand. The motor signals are authentic because they are being produced by a human body. The timing intervals easily exceed the 0.269 threshold, even though the ideas are not original to the typist. For those who want to automate this process, timing forgery attacks use hardware like the rubber ducky to simulate this human noise. This is histogram sampling. The attacker takes a timing distribution from a public dataset of human typing and tells the microcontroller to sample from that data, placing the forged timing well into the human zone. Statistical impersonation takes this further by matching the mean and variance of a human population, shaping a synthetic timing curve that the detector cannot distinguish from a real person. The most advanced method uses a long short-term memory, or LSTM, model. These generative networks predict the next timing interval based on the characters being typed, mimicking the subtle pauses humans make during specific words. These timing arrays are compiled back into DuckyScript and fired through an 18E85. To the operating system, it looks like a person is typing. These forgeries achieve a 99.8% evasion rate. The detector isn't being hacked, it's simply being shown data that fits its definition of human. By aligning with the human statistical manifold, the attacker makes the automated text injection indistinguishable from genuine typing. Defenders might try to solve this by simply raising the threshold to be more sensitive, but this table shows why that creates a new problem. This is the false rejection rate. It's the percentage of real, honest humans who will be flagged as bots because they happen to type with a bit too much consistency. To block just half of the LSTM forgeries, the threshold must be raised to 0.80. At that level, the system will falsely reject 16.3% of legitimate human users. If a university or a company flags nearly 1 out of every 6 people as a fraud, the system becomes a liability rather than a tool. This highlights the informational limit of keystroke timing. In a genuine composition, the provenance of the text is tied to a cognitive state, which then dictates motor execution and the final timing data. The timing data is just a byproduct of the physical action. In a copy type attack, the provenance and cognitive state are disconnected from the final output. The timing data remains identical, meaning the signal provides no evidence of where the ideas actually started. This confirms that timing data is a measure of neuromuscular execution, not intellectual origin. There is no way to refine the algorithm to fix a signal that doesn't contain the necessary information. If we want to verify who wrote a text, we need to look for 3 things: motor authenticity, cognitive engagement, and content binding. Current biometric systems are good at motor authenticity. They can tell if the keys are being triggered in a way that mimics a human body. But they cannot verify cognitive engagement, the internal process of formulating an original thought rather than just transcribing one. This leads to the failure of content binding. Without a way to link the physical typing process to the specific meaning of the text, the system cannot prove authorship. It only proves liveness. This means proctoring and academic integrity platforms are selling a sense of security that doesn't exist. They are using a liveness check to make a claim about authorship. These systems catch basic, unoptimized scripts. They do not catch students using AI to generate essays and then typing them out, or using hardware to forge the rhythm of a person. A more resilient approach would focus on semantic coherence, analyzing how a writer revises their work and responds to prompts in real time, which is much harder to forge than simple timing intervals. As long as computers trust hardware implicitly and attackers can mimic human rhythm, typing speed will remain an unreliable metric for verifying the human mind.